back to my channel. So as you can see from the title, we are doing everyone's favorite season except for me, fall favorites, and I've picked 10 fragrances out of my collection that I've already started to pick out and wear more, and that I can kind of anticipate I will be wearing a whole lot this season. I will do a actual fragrances I wore this fall at the end of the seasons, because I did that for summer and you guys seem to really like it. And yeah, let me know if you want a part 2 of 10 favorites for fall, because I know everyone loves fall and loves fall fragrances. Me not included, but while I don't really love the whole pumpkin craze that goes on this time of year, I adore these fragrances, and I have to agree they are at their best in fall time. So without any further ado, let's begin. I will say one of the running themes as I was picking them out, because in my opinion there is a distinction between fall fragrances and winter fragrances for sure. Obviously there's overlap, but one of the things I really feel like to me stands out as a fall note is suede, much more than like leather. Like a suede-y fragrance that either leans powdery or floral or woody really makes me think of fall time. So there's a bunch of suede type fragrances. Maybe I will start with those 3 that really evoke the suede note for me. And the first one is actually a Maison Lancôme. This is Magnolia Rosé. This definitely has a suede note to it, but it's sprayed on my arm here, but it's a suede that leads into a floral, and a relatively like bright floral, to be frank. I would say this is probably one of the least fall fragrances from my top 10. It lends itself easily to other seasons, I suppose, more than maybe some of the others, but I think it's a really nice one for the beginning of fall. I actually think this is kind of an underrated one from the Maison Lancôme range. It's not one that even to me kind of stood out to begin with, because I think so many others get the hype and this one just kind of falls to the wayside. But actually I think it's an underrated gem. It's really beautiful, and I think it's actually, it should be in the top, half of this collection, honestly. So I have to give credit where credit's due. I've appreciated it more and more every time I've worn it, and now that I have a whole bunch of them, I can actually appreciate it even more, because there's definitely fragrances in the range that I feel like fall behind this. Whereas to begin with, I was just picking up the like best of the best, and I don't think I gave this one as much credit. So this is a really good one for like that transition period, leaning more towards fall, but not like deep into the red, orange, leaves changing, hot toddy, whatever it may be of the autumn season. So the next one that's very suede-like that I actually adore is Iris Prima by Penhaligon's. This had its moment, I feel like, when, let me just spray it here, when it showed up on Fragrance Buy for an amazing deal like a year and a half ago. And I feel like so many people picked it up then, me included, but it was for the 50 ml. And I still have a good chunk, because this, you do not want to overspray. Actually, the same thing with the next one. This is a really beautiful fall, like cold weather iris. It's warm, but it has that irisy, and this time it's like a suede iris. It's powdery, but it's very unique. I'm going to compare it now to the next fragrance, because in my opinion, they do have similarities, and I'll talk about that more in depth in like a dupe video for sure. But there is something, like, I need a name for these fall time powdery fragrances, because they kind of, they linger in a different way than your run-of-the-mill powdery fragrance or powdery fragrances that I'm more familiar with. something about the combination of like suede and iris makes it just makes, I imagine like a really dense cloud, like a rain cloud, like really, really dense. Imagine how that would feel if it was like tangible and not just water vapor. Just stay with me. That's what it just evokes in terms of imagery. It's very dense in terms of a scent, and the powderiness is very, very dense as well. I think it does way better in fall time compared to any other season personally, especially because you tend to have less humid days. And I don't think these kinds of scents do well in humidity at all because they're so like dense, and it's not that they're rich, it's seriously that they're like very, very dense. So I really do like this one. It's nice to have a fall time iris because pretty much the rest of my iris-centric fragrances are quite spring, summer. Or they're just like very papery iris, and then they can be worn year round. But this I feel like is very, very much a fall time fragrance. The other one, and I almost don't want to spray it because it's so strong, but Bottega Veneta's Bottega Veneta, just the eau de parfum. This is also the 50 ml. I'll spray right here on the top. I definitely need to do a comparison. I'm gonna do a dupe video for you guys, like a part 2, because you guys really liked the first one of fragrances in my collection. This has a lot of similarities to Iris Prima. It has that suede, it has that powderiness. It's very much that dense cloud. I would say there is this tinge of like unique sweetness, not quite burnt sugar, but like maybe like a brown sugar note that I don't even think is in the notes, but it has that tinge of gourmandness, I guess, to this, and that sweetness that doesn't show up as much in Iris Prima. But this, in terms of lasting power, oh my God, it lasts for ages on me, especially if it gets in your hair or on your clothing, then even more so. But you guys, the performance on this, I really was not expecting it. And I do also have to, in some way, like I need to look at the notes, because I mentioned before, I do really like this, but there is something in this, and I can't put my nose on what it is, that makes it at times, especially in its sillage, like it turns me off and I can't figure it out. And recently, when I was doing wear test, I felt like whatever it is also in Gucci Rush. So I definitely need to compare those two as well. But all that to say, the moments where I do love it, and there's a whole lot of this fragrance I do love, I think it's a great fall time fragrance. And that's actually a recommendation that came from one of you guys, or from a bunch of you guys actually. So definitely do recommend that. And then we're gonna move on to a fragrance I actually bought off season during the summer, but I think is way better now, and that's Flower Bomb's Midnight by Viktor and Rolf. I've honestly worn this in the summer as well, but I really think it's kind of blooming perfectly for fall. This is a really nice date night fragrance. It's sweet, but I actually prefer this to the original Flower Bomb. I think Flower Bomb, the original, I still have like a little more than half the bottle. I feel like I'm just over it. I really haven't been reaching for it that much at all. And instead, I've actually reached for this a couple of times. I've even like worn it to bed. I've worn it out at night and during the day, I think, as well. And I really think it's nice and worth checking out, especially if you've enjoyed the original but just feel kind of over it. This is a lot, it's a lot more feminine of a scent in my opinion. It doesn't have that tea note, and it's just, yeah, I think it's a little bit more interesting now after the whole craze with Flower Bomb is kind of dissipated. I think Flower Bomb Midnight is worth checking out. All right, now we're gonna go to my scent of the day, actually. I've been really loving this one, of course, and it's relatively new to my collection, and that's C by Giorgio Armani. I didn't think I was gonna like this as much as I have. It has really, really surprised me, and that is where I just have to give, like, I guess credit to waiting out popular releases sometimes, because when this came out, I don't know if it was the same for everyone wherever you guys live, but everyone bought this. I felt like every single person I knew and didn't know bought C, and it just like took over in a way that La Vie est Belle did, but I don't know. I tried out La Vie est Belle like during that time and knew it wasn't for me, and it continued to not be for me. But this, I just never, like, I wouldn't even try it. And I remember when I tried C Passione, I think, the red one, I was really surprised in store when I tried it years ago when it released, and I was like, wow, I really do like this. And I still wouldn't give C a shot. And it took me way too long, basically, to get into this. I think this is a really, really beautiful scent. And honestly, I'm ready to bite my tongue on things I didn't say and how I felt about this fragrance before I picked it up. I think it's worth the hype. I think now that the hype has probably died down from where it was, I'm very much in love with it, and I no longer want to hide it. If you have not tried this out, please do, because every time I wear this, I like smile. I'm so happy, and I've enjoyed wearing it the more we get deeper into fall. Whenever I kind of am confused about what I want to try out during the day, or whenever I'm just like sprucing up during the day and want to try something new, I feel like I reach for this and Midnight Flower Bomb a whole lot ever since I picked it up. So I've really been enjoying that one, and I think it's great for fall. The next one is actually a men's fragrance, and this is now like the second fall I've reached for it. This is 1 Million Privé by Paco Rabanne. This has a very nice, I'm gonna spray it on the side, like sweet hookah smell, like hookah smoke smell, and cinnamon and spice. I did actually have a backup to this that I gifted to someone on their birthday, and I do somewhat regret it, honestly. I feel like, even though, like you guys will see, I fully still have at least, if not 80, like I would say like more than 80 mils of this left. I have like 90 mil of this 100 mil left, which is more than enough, but I don't know what it is, like I get in my head. I didn't expect that I'd reach for this as much as I was going to, and this was one that it's been discontinued, and at the time it showed up like last April. It showed up at Shoppers Drug Mart for like the 19.99s, and people went crazy. And now I only have this one because I gifted the other one away. But all that being said, I really enjoyed wearing it. I wear it even not in fall time, but I feel like the perfect time of year where it really, really blooms is fall time. And it's actually, I think, in my opinion, because of the sweetness of this, like the spices and stuff, I actually think it's pretty unisex in my opinion. Then we've got to talk about this gem that everyone loves and tries to hunt down. This is Alien's Liqueur de Parfum. This, it's stunning. It really, really is stunning. It is close to Essence de Parfum. I think I did a video comparing the two, but it's really the opening of this that is different. It has that deep, like root beer-esque note to it, and once that dissipates, they do get a lot more similar. But until then, the opening of this is a lot more root beer-esque. And you guys know me. If you know me, you know I am a sucker for a root beer fragrance, so I could not shy away from this. And I really have changed my mindset, especially in the past maybe 3 or 4 years, that I can't be so precious with my fragrances anymore, because while I'm a collector, I don't sell my fragrances, and they're really just for me to enjoy and to share with you guys. And I would just get in my head about fragrances that were hard to find, and I would be so precious with them. And I've changed my mindset. I remind myself of that all the time. You guys, if you see me straying, remind me as well. And so I started using this again, and I'm really happy because I love it, especially the opening. Talking about root beer type fragrances, Hypnotic Poison, a classic. I feel like I'm gonna spray all of them, and I don't care because I will. This definitely has an almond root beer note to it. This, I have the eau de toilette, but when I do finish this, I would like next time round to just try the eau de parfum. I have tried it in store, but from what I remember, this was like a little bit more root beer like, but that was more deep almond like. I can't recall. I have used probably maybe like a fourth of it already, and this is one of my favorite fragrances ever. It's one that just, I think now that I finally have it in my collection and I haven't just sampled it, I'll always pick up. Or at least I'm going to pick up the eau de parfum once I'm done this one. So yeah, love it. If you love almond, root beer, white florals, then that, or like a deeper florals, then that one's a really, really nice one. And of course, a classic. All right, so the second to last one is actually a Jo Malone, and this will always have a special place in my heart because I found it at a Marshall's, and in Canada we really don't get Jo Malone's ever at Marshall's. I feel like it's a really hard find. I'm not sure if you guys do in your TJ Maxx in the States and if it's more common there, but this was such like a really, really great find. So I'll be even more into this because of that. But this is English Oak and Hazelnut, and I'll spray it here. At first, when I first bought this, I thought to myself, I really don't see myself wearing it all that much. It reminded me a bit of Tal d'Hermès eau de toilette. It's definitely got like a really earthy woodiness, but and the nuttiness in this, like the hazelnut's very bitter. Like there's a true bitterness there. And so it really wasn't speaking to me all that much, but I was so excited that I found it on such a good deal. And then very much just like Tal d'Hermès eau de toilette, you just need to let this sit and get over the opening. Unless you love it. Personally, I don't love the opening. It's just okay. But it does not stay linear. And I wasn't expecting that for Jo Malone because usually her fragrances are, you know, what you see is what you get, and they're not super complex, and they're meant to be that way because you're really supposed to be layering them. Not all of them, but you know, they're not super complex. But this one, once it sticks around, the sillage on this, you guys, is beautiful. 100% unisex. I feel like anyone and everyone could wear this. It's devoid of all sweetness. So if you have to have sweetness in your fragrance, do not pick this one up at all. But other than that, I actually think it's really chic, and it has a quality to it that just smells like hikes in forest during fall time. Like there's a real crunchy leaves, woody notes, and like old oak trees and bitter hazelnut, and yeah, like a real like forest floor scent to it. And I know maybe all of those things aren't things you want to smell like, but I think it's an actual really authentic one, because I think a lot of those like candle companies, for example, love to make like autumn leaves or like forest leaves or like forest colors or whatever fall time fragrances, and they never, like, they're always sweet and they are always spiced, and it's like pumpkin something. And this is actually very authentic. If you love to take hikes, and see, it's already changing. If you love to take hikes the way I do, and if you actually love like the smell of the forest and stuff, especially like crunchy leaves and just like warm clothing and like cold air, then this is a really authentic smelling one. Devoid of all sweetness, but really, really great for fall. And finally, in 10th place, but they're not in any order, is my Almond Harmony from House of Oud. You guys have seen me talk about this throughout the years. I have no idea how much I've used up. This, again, be careful with overspraying. I've choked myself out more than once because it is delicious. This is almond marzipan. Like, if this is devoid of sweetness, then this is like an overdose of sweetness. So you have to love that. And it's a very, very strong marzipan note in this. So that also, if you're not all in with almond and marzipan, then I really wouldn't recommend this. That aside, I think the bottle is stunning. I think the fragrance is actually Gourmand heaven. And because it's, again, very dense and can choke you out, I think fall weather and even leading into winter is the perfect time to wear that. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Definitely let me know in the comments below if you've tried any of these fragrances or if there are any that you'd like to try. You can let me know your fall time favorites to try to make me into a fall time person, but no promises. And don't forget to subscribe, follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you next time. Bye.